Hey everybody, David Andrews here. We're talking the 10 healthy habits for high energy living. Oh yes, oh it's so fantastic to be outside today. Look at the lake. Oh wow, we just had a fantastic, can we see it? Oh, it's too bright. There it is, the sunset. What? It's so fantastic. And today we're on habit number 6, which is talking about movement. You can see I'm out here at the beach and I'm bundled up. Boy, I got my sweatshirt, my hat, my jacket, and there's nobody here. Oh, there's one person, one lonely soul with me here. See him probably there in the background. They walking there. Oh boy, we had some fun getting started today. So today we're talking about the topic of movement, habit number 6. Today is day 7. And what I wanted to share with you is the idea of sprinting versus jogging. Which do you prefer? Now, when we talk about movement, there's so many different kinds of movement. And we're trying to have high energy. So there's lots of us that maybe are joggers. We like to say runners, but when you really look at the pace and the speed that most people are, quote, running, we would probably have to put that in the category of jogging, myself included, because when I go out for a run, most of the time I'm jogging, but I don't really like jogging, so I try to run. And if I can get to an 8-minute pace, or maybe even a 7.5 minute mile per, minute per mile, 7.5 minute mile, that's pretty good. But if we're doing 10, 11, 12 minute miles, that would probably be more considered jogging. So what kind of benefits are we getting? We hear about people having knee problems and ankle problems and hip problems because of hours and hours and miles of jogging. So one thing I did years ago is I looked up photos. If you go on your internet and your search engine, maybe Google, maybe something else, and just type in world-class sprinter versus jogger, or you might say world-class sprinter versus marathon runner, or look up both individually. And what you will find is some photos. Click on images, and then what I want you to do is just sit for a minute and look at the images of world-class marathoners, and then look at world-class sprinters, okay? And then ask yourself, which image would you prefer to be more like? You're never going to be a world-class sprinter, probably. I'm not. Never going to be a world-class marathoner. I'm never going to do that. But when I look at the body shape, when I look at the pictures, I personally would rather look just a little bit more like the world-class sprinter than the world-class marathoner, because having some muscle and having some strength in my body, not necessarily to run for 26 miles without stopping, because I have a car, I have a bike, I have things to do that. I don't need to be running for that distance. But if I have the muscle and the agility and the speed and the flexibility of the sprinter, there's a lot of cool stuff I could do. And it's probably healthier in the long run to have some meat on my bones, have some muscles on my bones and not be skinny as a rail. So that's just one thing to contemplate, is this idea of, what if we change the amount of effort and we increase the effort and we decrease the mileage? So I've been doing this now recently, with some new workouts. I've done it before in the past, but kind of rekindled it recently, and I really am enjoying doing sprints. So it's just maybe 100 yards and just going all out. Now, at my age and my fitness level, maybe you'd call it a fast run. I don't know if I'm actually sprinting anywhere, but the idea is to run or sprint, if you prefer that term, as fast as, maybe not as fast as you can, but at a really, really fast pace for a short distance, that's gonna cause your body to really use and recruit more muscles. It's also gonna require some deep breathing that the jogging may never actually create. Because most people jog, they breathe, but they're not breathing deeply and heavily, intensely. You know, that deep nasal breathing. So when I do these wind sprints, I like to call them wind sprints, where you sprint 100 yards and then you walk, and then you sprint another 100 yards and you walk, and you intermingle them. Say you do 2 or 3 sprints to start, maybe work up to 4 or 5, maybe 8 or 10 at some point. This gets your heart rate up, it gets your muscles going, and really gets your breath going. So the real benefit of exercise is to create the oxygen intake that our whole body needs. All of our cells need the oxygen intake, so the exercise should create an elevated, intense breathing. And so sprints can definitely do that. So a word of caution from my own personal experience. I was out doing these about a month ago and literally pulled my hamstring on a sprint because I'd sort of warmed up, but probably not enough, maybe going a little too fast, too quickly. But it only took a couple weeks and it was really healed up fine, and now I'm back to sprinting, but I'm not going at quite the same intensity level. I'm working up to faster and faster running so that I don't pull a muscle, right? Because injury-free is always best. It's always best to go injury-free. So word of caution, if you take up sprinting, maybe start with a fast jog, then go to a slow run, then a medium run, then a fast run, then eventually maybe you get up to sprinting, and then do intervals, do 2 or 3 and rest and do some walking in between, call it a day. And then come back and do some more sprints, a day later or 2 days later, recover a little bit, and then keep building, and you'll find that you're gonna use muscles you've never used before, and you use completely different muscles than when you go jogging. So nothing against jogging. If you like to jog, enjoy your jogging, but for real power and high energy, you might want to intersperse some sprinting on your off days or every other day or something, kind of mix it in. And then just look up, do the homework, and check out the images. Look at a sprinter versus a marathoner, man. It's like, wow, I'd much rather have the body of a sprinter than the body of a marathoner. So something to consider and something to put into your repertoire of movement exercises, because we need movement that maximizes our energy so that we can feel good. So enjoy your sprinting.